All right, folks, welcome back to this month's radio show. We are airing the July radio show with my friend Coy Romine and Ryan Allen. This will be airing on Thursday, July 2nd, right? Today's July 1st. But first off, I want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July, celebrating 250 years here in the United States of America. And today we're going to talk about some stats. We got lots to cover. You know, another thing about today's show is that it's not going to be average and ordinary. It might be a little controversial, but that's okay, because who wants to be average and ordinary? Anybody that does anything good in life, I think, is a little controversial, right? So anyways.
Looking forward to this. I was not warned about this.
Me, as a producer, you know, I got the edits button right here. We're gonna pause it anytime.
All right.
Get
So
that.
we'll start off with a brief overview. We're going to talk about the June market update. We're going to talk about some things we're talking about in Schulenburg. We're going to talk about some data storage facilities, water winds. We're going to talk about insurance markets and other plugs too. But let's get off with today's market. These stats are for our friend Mr. BB. We like to talk about the numbers and what's been absorbing in beautiful small town America in the towns of LaGrange, Schulenburg, Flatonia, Weimar, and Hallettsville. Past 12 months, LaGrange has sold 56 homes in town. They're averaging just under 5 homes per month they're selling in that beautiful town of LaGrange. They have about 12 months of supply. So if you price your home right, it could take 12 months to sell it. I'm sorry, but that's just how long it takes sometimes right now. So you want to properly price that home. If you're hiring an agent and you're like, I need this sucker going in 6 months, make sure you're properly pricing that thing, because if you just price it where the market's at, you could sit. You're gonna have to be competitive. Okay. Schulenburg has sold 22 in the past 12 months. They're absorbing just under 2 per month. There's 19 on the market. We have about 10 months of supply. Flatonia has sold 2 in the past 12 months, absorbing a little less than 1 per month. There's 9 on the market. Let's not talk about months of supply there. Weimar has sold 13 in the past 12 months, selling about 1 per month. There's 14 on the market, another 12 months of supply. Hallettsville has sold 2 in the past 12 months, averaging, there's only got 2 on the market. So good luck finding something if you're going to find a home in Hallettsville, but there's 12 months of supply. This is just houses in town. This is not out of city limits. These are just lot and block in town homes. What's going on within the city limits?
They have at least 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and on under a 2-acre lot in the city limits, residential only.
Very good. So yeah, like we talked about last radio show, the market has definitely shifted towards a buyer's market. And a lot of agents love working with buyers. I think it's more fun to work with buyers during this go around because it is challenging. If you got the buyer, you've got some leverage, you can go have some fun and really go shopping and find you a deal that you feel good about. So, but you know, you got to create win-win. Don't be win-lose. Like seller's got to lose and I got to win, because you're not going to make a deal. Everybody has to come away feeling good. And if you, I think Mike Steinhauser said this one time, when both parties walk away disappointed, that means you had a really good negotiation.
Heard that before. I do want to share some stats that I looked up this morning. As a broker, it's one of the things we do look at is average transaction price on both sides, the buying side and listing side. Currently this year through 6 months on the list side, the average transactions for $400,000. And this is just our brokerage, but on the buy side, it's 330. So you're looking at 330 on the buy side, 400K on the list side for average transaction price. Just 3 years ago in 2023, the average list transaction was $470,000. So on the list side, was $70,000 more. On the buy side, it was $522,000. So that's almost a $200,000 difference on the buy side in 3 years. That the market's changed, you know, and if you're out there, you're listing or you're a buyer, hopefully these stats help you understand the market better and gives you an advantage. But that's a huge number. Even if I was going to get your opinion. If you're an agent and you were selling homes and representing buyers in 2023 and the average transaction was $522,000 and now it's only $333,000. Look how, to make the same amount of money, look how many more transactions you have to do.
Yeah.
You know, to result in that, whatever your commission, you know, if you make $100,000 a year.
Yeah. But can I just say something about those times during COVID?
That was 2023.
Yeah, there's still good times. I mean, it was shifting at that time. 2022 was shifting, but 21, 22, all realtors, if you're in the business, you basically got a lucky charm shot up.
Yeah.
Sorry about the language, but it's the truth. It was luck.
That beat,
He was not talent.
that beat button going.
So,
But the really good agents were able to capitalize. If you already were established, you already had your book of business, you already had your clientele.
yeah. I stole that line from somebody. I don't know where I read that the other day, but I was like, I got to use that on the radio show.
The Lucky Charm.
Yeah.
Okay. Are they your sponsor?
I told her it'll be a little controversial today. We're going to have fun. All right. So we're talking about, local, what's going on. And then Ryan put it in here too, what's moving, residential or land. A lot. I don't know. We were selling a lot of bigger tracks lately. 2 million plus market's been decent for us. The market where it's like the $750,000, it seems like it's struggling a little bit. But houses, like you say, Corey, if it's priced in that $300,000 range, it's going to move, especially if it's move-in ready and people can move in and start having fun and creating some memories, so to speak. That's what's selling. So very good. Hey, we'll talk about some interesting stats that came out in this Realtor magazine the other day. If I can find it, here we go. So the big picture, this is like big picture macro. Just like if you're thinking about some things, did you know that 1 out of every 5 homes in Texas has a septic system? So if you're in the septic business, know that every 1 out of 5 homes has a septic system. And this is another stat that I think is really interesting, especially for our area. I'm one of the chairperson at Senior Connections, but by 2050, the population of Texans 65 and older is projected to grow to 8.3 million. That's from 4.6 million in 2024. Think about that. You're going to have 8.3 million people 65 or older by 2050, up from 4.6 million in 2024. So we're getting older, okay? And 80% of Americans age 65 plus want to stay in their current home and as long as possible. They do not want to move. They want to stay in their home as long as possible. I think I'd want to too. What's another good stat? Oh, this is your area, Corey. Insurance premiums. Think about this. On average, Texas homeowners pay $3,291 annually on homeowners insurance.
How much?
$3,291 average. And the average coverage is for $408,500. Insured losses were $10.2 billion last year.
Does it say how much premium was taken in? Compared to that 10.2
well, I guess if I don't know
billion
how many
in losses. I bet premiums were more than 10.2 billion.
Yeah.
Or everybody be out of business. That's the way insurance business works. But that $3,291 in premium seems kind of high.
Yeah.
I would shop that around if that was my premium.
And here's a stat for sellers sticking their heels in the sand, not wanting to move on the price, but most successful Texas home sales in 2025 involved price reductions. 18% of sellers reduced their price once before their home sold. 74% of sellers reduced their price 2 or more times to get them sold.
That's good to know.
So if you're stubborn about price reductions, they think, they're going to think, my house is something wrong with it or reduced. No, it'll help you sell it. 74% of homes sold when they reduce the price more than twice. So price reductions help. It helps sell the home. Pricing fixes a lot of problems in today's sideways market. So controversial again. Here we go.
Agree 100%.
We're here to tell the truth. We'll set you free. All right, Ron, what else we got on here?
Here, I have a controversial question.
Oh, boy. Shoot, fire away.
I was just thinking, because right now the average home prices are hovering between $300,000 and $400,000. But you see some of these new construction developments and just random pop-ups. They're not the best quality, maybe. Mm-hmm. Don't have the best reputation for that. But they are maybe sometimes in the $200,000 range. And that just seems a little more easy for people my age maybe to get into. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, is there some tips for people who might own an older home trying to sell and competing against these new construction amenities? Because when you think of whenever I think about new construction, I'm like, at least I could sell it before the foundation cracks, mm-hmm. rather than buying one of these older homes that's already got a cracked foundation. I already got to put money into stuff like that.
Yeah, but you can get a better deal. I mean, I think there's FHA loans where you can get it's like a FHA 2 or 3K loan where you can, get money to put new appliances in, put a new roof on, fix things, all those kinds of things. It take a little longer, but it's a remedy for that situation where you want to move in ready home. It's got all this work. You don't have the cash to put into it, but you can get loans to help you do that with a low down payment option, 2 or 3K loan.
Ryan, I don't know if I ever shared my story. I bought in 2001, bought my first house. Okay. It was a HUD home. So it was foreclosed on by the bank or the government. I can't quite remember. But I went into that thing. It had carpet, but all the fixtures were gone. Faucets were gone. It was stripped. So I had to start. That was my
Foreclosure, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or HUD, it was HUD housing under. And so I had to start. That's why I started building that equity at the age of 21, 22. I started there and just slowly built it back. I kept that home for almost 13, 14 years. The last the last 6 years being a rental after Kristen and I had moved out and moved to Round Rock. But it's just, back in 2016, 2017, there was a lot of people doing sweat equity. I don't know how much people want to do sweat equity anymore. The margins weren't there a year ago to putting sweat equity into it. We're getting back to those numbers, but I think you could find the right one. Going into those new homes, they're nice, but as far as durability goes, you're going to be missing a few things. There may not be a back door. They cut corners in certain places. They do enough to pass an inspection. Especially if it's in town. So if it passes an inspection, you should be comfortable, but it give you the confidence to move forward with it. And you can build equity in that. Even though it's a brand new home, you still build equity.
Yeah. That's kind of my theory. It was like, just get your foot in the door with one of these cheaper new construction ones. Mm-hmm. Build up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even on the old homes, those are easy to work on.
It's like an old car,
Yeah. It's like,
they don't have all this mechanical stuff.
And especially, advantages of getting a pier and beam. It's cheaper to fix pier and beam than concrete slab, so things to think about there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Either one, you're going to build equity if you buy right, and Chip and
if
Chip's,
you don't buy right, you'll get forgiven over time.
Yeah. We'll pay the note on it.
We print money, inflation.
And Chip and anybody on Chip's team can help you with that.
Absolutely. All right. So we talked about the market, what's kind of going on there. Talked about some macro stuff. So I don't know. I've been getting real passionate about Schulenburg, my hometown lately. Me and Ryan, I've been throwing some stuff at them, seeing what's going to stick. But, I was thinking, if we put a plan together, what could, Schulenburg look like in 2035 if we all came together and did some things? I feel like we need some momentum at times on different projects. I'm one of the owners of Freiburg Hall and trying to get that thing kicked off. And it's amazing to me how many people don't know about Freiburg Hall. My kids will come home and say, well, I told my friends we were going to Freiburg, but they don't even know what that is, Dad. I'm like, how do they not know what it is? It's probably because they didn't, they're not 100 years old, like the hall is. So, trying to get that word out and people realizing that it is there. And we've got some success there. We've got like Kubota's doing their quarterly, or I think monthly luncheons there, their sales meetings and stuff. So we got some corporate stuff going on. We do have some music stuff scheduled here in the future, but just trying to get more momentum there and getting more people to find out about it. And I feel like we have the Von Minden listed in Schulenburg too. Is like, I've been looking at that project a lot. And I think a boutique hotel would be fantastic to have in our area. Most people would want to have an experience with that, not just a hotel, but a boutique hotel. I think that's something that would be really, really neat to have here. And then also, what else we talked about? The Von Minden we talked about.
I think the Von.
Singleman Hall too. Trying to get Singleman Hall kicked back off again. We have these great buildings, but we need that entrepreneurial spirit to come into town and help do all this. And so, and I think. Go ahead.
If I had the capital for Von Minden, I would, and it was a passion and a focus of mine. I had the capacity to work on it. Dude, it would be awesome. Here's your vision. You have the restaurant downstairs or wine bar downstairs. You make 10 to 15 hotel rooms, and the rest of it you could build suites, and en suites. There's an awesome opportunity to do like 2-story condo in there. It's just things that I've envisioned for that building. It would be pretty cool, but a lot of work, a lot of capital.
Yeah. I just think about what kind of town do we want to leave behind one day. And so I asked the question, like, what do we want Schulenburg to look like in 10 years from now, and start working towards that. And I think it's going to take a community to do that, and I think we have an opportunity problem, and we've got to seize that opportunity and just doing one thing at a time. I know, like right now, Shorelands Forever, we're getting together. We're going to try to fix that sign up outside of town, and doing that. That's one project. Okay, what's next? And just keep going, doing little things to spruce up things here and there, and eventually, you start getting momentum. Because Gary Mailer, we did that podcast with him, and he talked about, when people drive in and they see clean streets, they see beautification, they want to invest there. But if they see yards being overgrown, weeds everywhere, they are like, what's going on here? This just doesn't look right, So if you clean up things over time, people want to invest there because it looks cute, it looks quaint, it looks clean, And so I think if we can work towards that in all our small towns, I think it'll be very important, not just for Schulenburg, but for Fayette County and the surrounding communities. We all did that together. I think it'd be fantastic.
I agree. It takes good leadership. It takes consistency. I think those are the first two things I would definitely lean on to get that started and get momentum built for that.
I know a lot of people complain about the younger generation, but I've had my daughter's going to be a senior this year. She invites her high school friends over and stuff. I've been talking to a lot of these young kids and stuff. Man, I'm pretty excited about the future, about some of these kids. They're like, we got one guy, he's like, dude, I want to do photography. He's like, can I come work? People are just begging to come to our offices to do stuff,
That's awesome.
And so I'm pretty excited. And so, like, how do you create this community to where people, okay, let's say they golf for 4 or 5 years, they go to college, but how do we get them to want to come back and have an entrepreneurial spirit and want to invest back in their community, and creating that town that people want to come back to and raise a family and all that good stuff?
When you mentioned that earlier, it brought me back to why I came back, how I was able to come back. And, honestly, there was a lot of unknowns, but it made it happen. It worked out in the end. But I initially thought, what was my thought process when I made that decision to move back home in the summer of 2014?
Absolutely.
I'm about to share that. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, it's probably a long one. We don't have time. We should do that one day, though, but not today. Okay, let's talk about. So we talk about improving our town, stuff like that. But Ryan has in here Water Wins. I know we're coming out with our next magazine, and it's going to be, what's the title of the next magazine we're coming out with?
Lead article will be Water Wins.
Water Wins. Why does water win?
Well, because whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting.
That's right.
Whiskey's for drinking, water's for fighting.
Yeah, water wins. Water is such a, as more and more people come to the great state of Texas, it's going to be a very, very valuable resource that we have. It's always going to be water, but it's going to be cheap water, from what I'm being told. Water's going to get more expensive.
We'll go back to that stat you just said. By 2050, we're going to almost double in population.
Well, that was 65 plus.
Oh, 65 plus is double. Oh, yeah. Okay.
But
listen better.
And I think water, when you're selling a piece of property, water just beautifies everything. Water is just the key attribute that helps sell a property. If you got water or a pond or a creek or some sort of water feature, it just always sells. And then also water is a natural resource for that. If you're going to need water for your well and stuff like too, that's obviously, I don't care what you say. You give me a house, you can cut off my electricity, whatever, but you take away my water, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You got to have water. So, everything's fine until you don't have any water. I'll tell you that. So,
do you find that homes with pre-established like water wells, or land, I guess, with pre-established water wells, does that sell a bit quicker? Is that a good selling point?
Yeah, if you have water on there already. Because you're going to spend $15,000-$20,000 on a water well, So if you already have that in place, it's definitely a bonus. So,
what I learned when building a house, drill your well first, because if there ain't no water there, you don't need to build a house there.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I know you get out in the hill country, there's some places you can't get water. So you have to bring it in. So yeah, you got to make sure you can get water. And if you go to certain areas, like I know Freiburg, when we dug the well out there, it was 700 something feet deep. You know, where I'm at, it's like 240 feet deep. So knowing how deep you got to go to find good water is an important thing too, because you're going to be paying more the deeper you got to go. So, yeah. And so I guess Ron has in here, you know, here's another thing. I got sellers that live out of town that call me that inherited property out here. Hey, man, I've been hearing about this data center stuff. You think we can market our property to a data center? I'm like, do you want me to get killed? You must not care about me. But controversial again today. So lots of talk about data centers and their use of water. What are my thoughts about that? I think the biggest question isn't water, but it's electricity. You know, data centers are influencing the energy market now. You know, it used to be electricity was needed for consumers, for households, right? That's what electricity was made for. Now, you know, it's being utilized for other things like data centers and all this. And so like you could have a data center that's using all this electricity and this grid's about to go down over here. Well, they can switch that electricity and go to another region and grab it. And all of a sudden they're influencing markets, you know, so it's a lot that goes into that. So I think the biggest question is, and another thing about Texas is I read a report this morning. Another thing about Texas is we have the most abundant energy. We're the most abundant energy state there is in the United States, but we're also the highest demand energy state, United States. And so that's the thing is like we have an abundance of it, but we also have a lot of demand for it. And so how are we going to balance that over time? And as these data centers come into our communities, what can we do to make it a win-win? And I think as a state, as a county, you know, where these things are going to come into play, I don't know how much influence we'll have here at Fayette County, but I think that if done correctly, it's going to be a benefits. You know, they're going to have a lot of benefits like construction jobs, engineering jobs, electric infrastructure, property tax base, some, you know, high paying jobs. But, you know, those are the benefits of it. But then you have the negatives of it, the water. You know, it's going to take water to cool these things if they can't find another way to cool these things down. And I'm hearing, you know, there's a closed loop system, you know. So, well, okay, that's closed loop system. You can reuse that water, but it takes a lot of water to get into that closed loop system from the get-go. And so that's the biggest thing. And I'm not smart enough to figure all this out, but that's just what I'm reading about. So, you know, I think, you know, communities are gonna have to protect their local groundwater. They're gonna have to invest in new electric generation. They're gonna have to strengthen transmission infrastructure and things like that. I know a lot of things that I'm hearing right now too is that, you know, these data centers, they need dependable energy. You know, you can't depend on solar. You can't depend on wind. That's unpredictable. You don't know if the wind's going to blow that day. You don't know if the sun's going to shine that day. So you need predictable energy. And so that's why they're saying natural gas is going to become a huge player in this game eventually, where the natural gas is going to power these things. Then you got to build these generators. Where are they going to build those out? There's a lot of things they haven't figured out yet. Like, you know, a lot of theory. And then we start putting in an application. That's a whole nother story. So I don't know. You know, these engineers, you know, they can come up with some stuff, but they can't change a battery out of the car sometimes.
Sorry to all the engineers out there.
Told you we're being controversial today.
Where we at, Ryan? How much time?
We got about 3 or 4 minutes left.
That's it.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna get fired after this show.
Coy, did you want to talk about any insurance updates? Is there anything listeners should know about in the current insurance market?
You know, we have 2 new offices, Hallettsville and Ocampo. We're off and running there. We got staffed. We're getting folks trained. Getting those. You know, one big challenge is taking over a book of business when it's all paper. Is getting it digitized. No, that's the word I was looking for. So that's the challenge we're facing now and getting that done. So we'll slowly do that. Next week I'm going to explain. One advantage that we have as an insurance agency is we're part of a group, Texas-based group, insurance group, which is made up of other independent agents across Texas. And one of the huge advantages of that is, one thing, first and foremost, it protects our risk. You know, we combined all our business together. So when there is a huge loss, we're not taking the brunt of it. We all have each other's backs. That's one of the huge advantages. But also it allows us to have more resources and more options for our clients. If we have somebody that comes in that wants crop insurance or, something that we don't work around every day, we can lean on somebody who's an expert in that field, even though they're not here in Fayette County and they may be up from the Panhandle and they write crop insurance every day. Just examples of that allows us to be part of that group. And that group's the SBMP group that's been around over 50 years. Started in Florida, Texas.
Don't know where that's at.
East of Plainview.
Okay.
Which is in the Panhandle. That's about it on insurance. Shout out to the insurance team, Tammy, great leader of that team. And shout out to all those that on the front lines every day.
Good deal.
Absolutely. That's why we're coming out with our Texas Farm and Ranch Protection Program. So if you need a farm or ranch protected, we have lots of good insurance for that. We're going to be coming out with that here shortly. Ryan's helped me put a plan together for that.
Next radio show.
We'll be Can't wait.
It's going to be good stuff, man. I'm excited about it. It's going to be the Amazon Prime of insurance. You know what I mean?
Hope so. If we do it right.
I think Ryan talks about some Entremedia stuff.
Oh, well, yeah. I want to thank Mayak Winery for being a customer of mine.
What'd y'all do out there the other day?
Drink wine.
Well, that's what you do during the meeting. My actual work involved filming. They have a monthly session or monthly event called The Cultivated Life. It's about living, more of an elevated life, not a rich life, but one where you find wealth in your culture. And it was French cuisine was on the docket, so they paired French cuisine with some French wines. And Lynn and Randy Mayak have spent quite a bit of time in France now, and so they're very passionate about it. Yeah. So they got to share that passion with the guests, and I documented the whole thing. So part of an effort for them to kind of get some more content online going forward. So working with them, we'll have that out shortly, and yeah, keep an eye out for that.
And where's it going to air out of?
We'll put it on YouTube and Facebook for them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it'll be long form, but we'll have some clips and stuff put out there too. But that way you can get Randy's whole presentation.
I'm refined. I could have been invited to that.
You were invited.
I wasn't.
I would put you on the other camera, but
cool.
But yeah, it was a good time. So thank you to them, and yeah.
Tell us some other stuff. Have you shared that your Weimar ISD project with anybody?
No.
Explain that. Is that some of the stuff?
So they just I met with the superintendent, and he had a whole vision for just kind of like an introductory video for Weimar, that kind of, or Weimar ISD specifically, that showcase not so much just the fact that, hey, we go to school and we're a good school, but all the things that the students get engaged in outside of the classroom, along with, being great students, some of their extracurriculars, community events, stuff like that. So it's kind of a long project. I've started filming late in the last semester, and I'll be filming some more content with students and inside the schools coming the new school year. So
probably all the way through the fall, right?
Yeah.
Grab football content.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, it's not just for students, but people that are interested in moving to the town.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I encourage the other surrounding schools to call Ryan to work on their stuff.
Yeah. Let me know. Entre.media. You can find us there. So.
I love it. And another thing, Ryan, he's always with us because he's creating content, not just to use that week, but at any time in the future. We always have a plethora of content ready to go when we're not able to film at times. So
yeah,
part of it.
So it'll be B-roll that you can have banked for a while that can get turned into other videos and stuff like that. So if you hire us to come out and film, get access to the raw footage too. If you want to do that, but we'll have it on hand if you ever want to make some more videos with the footage we've already shot.
And then 50 years from now, they come out with the history archives, what it was back in the day.
Yeah. And so you got to get on film first.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think it's so cool. Pretty neat. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how much time we got left. What do we got?
We're right on the money.
Okay, so I just want to tell everybody happy 4th of July. I will be at St. John on 4th of July cooking hamburgers from 6 till 9. Come see me.
I don't know we're either going Round Top, St. John, or the brewery, but I've heard everyone's going to be busy. So, I mean, I'll go anywhere.
It's 250-year celebration. You know, it's a big deal.
We got World Cup going on if anybody's interested in that. But if this
Mexico
airs,
won last night.
yeah, 2-0. But this airs tomorrow, so we'll know if the USA wins tonight.
Yeah.
USA.
It's kind of neat how it's like a worldwide deal. So everybody comes together. We're actually getting along through this, you know? So,
I'm actually
every 4 years.
so one thing bringing us together.
Yeah.
My wife and I were actually watching soccer that night when they had the shootouts, the back-to-back shootouts. It was pretty intense. And like the emotion on the fans, you know, in the stands when they're disappointed or they're happy, it's freaking wild.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well,
Cool.
thanks for listening, guys. Appreciate you guys. You know, I just want you to know half of it was just joking today, so don't take me too seriously. Just trying to have a good time. And God bless you all. God bless America, and y'all have a safe 4th of July weekend.
Bye.
Bye.